So it's happened to most of us. Somebody for Valentine's Day or for whatever occasion, a birthday or whatever, someone gives us one of these or one of these. Now, they're called Phalaenopsis. It's an orchid, and now this one wasn't given to me. This one was on clearance at a store, and you can tell it's got no blooms anymore. I'll try and show you, get a close-up on that. But the leaves look pretty nice and healthy. It looks really good. Now don't cut this stem just yet, because you might potentially be losing out on more flower. Normally this, you wait till it dries. If it goes brown or light brown, you'll know it's time to cut it. But until then, don't cut it. It comes with a, to support the spike. I personally don't like these things. Now this came like this. It's got a couple of holes. It's got 3 little holes at the bottom. I don't like this here. It's some type of sponge. I've never seen this before. This is new to me. And so I'm going to try and repot it today. Now, another thing I want to tell you is, do not put this orchid in direct sun. Do not put it in direct sun. And this is actually coming off quite easy. But what I don't like about it is it's a sponge and I can't see the roots. And another thing too is I don't know how the roots are doing. And normally this is not a good time to do this because the flower is not yet off, right? So you want to wait till the flower's off. But I could already tell here, I'll give you a closer look. These ones are perfect. I would say they're perfect. There's a few broken ones here which I'll cut off, and you just use a pair of scissors. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm also going to show you how to tell if the roots are good or not. Now, you see, I'm cutting off the dead because it could potentially harbor some bacteria. Now, there's people that usually they tend to spray this with a mixture of water and half water, half bleach. I've tried that before and my plants have died. So there might be another maybe antifungal or some kind of product out there on the market that you could use. Now, this is something you should know. So these orchids, and I'll put it aside here for a minute, and then I'll show you something here. So this little spindly thing is the actual root. You see this part here is the actual root. And then it comes with a coating. And now this coating is sort of a sponge. It's somewhat like a sponge. And if I'm showing you, see how I'm pulling out the root here? I hope you can see that. So that's the root, and this is a sponge. It's a coating. Now, this only works one way, which is in. And what it does is it'll soak up the water, it'll hold it near the root, and then the plant will suck up the water through these little hair-like roots. Now, and this is because they live in trees. Orchids live in trees, in nature, in the rainforest, everywhere in South America, people tie them to trees. In Canada, we have the winter, so we can't do that. So, anyways, and I'm not going to give you too much of a chance to look at this. So there's a few mediums that you can use. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to repot my orchid into this pot, which I like more. It's bigger, it holds more bark, and so another thing that I was going to show you is this is peat moss or sphagnum moss or moss. And now this stuff, a lot of orchids come in this stuff too. Now I wanted to tell you that this is purely for transportation. This is not good for orchids. It holds too much water, and if you can see, I watered this peat moss days ago. See the water coming out? Now, orchids, no good, because you can imagine that and you know, I go back to the root. So the root is holding water, and the peat moss is holding water, and you know, it's just gonna rot. It's a recipe for disaster. So what I like to use is bark. Now, don't look at the label. I don't want to advertise anything, but you go and get yourself some orchid mix. This is premium orchid mix. You buy it at Home Depot, Canadian Tire. A lot of places have it. And you put just a little bit of orchid mix in the bottom. I don't want to make this video too long because I'm gonna bore you to pieces. I can talk forever. And put a little more. Now, I'm not using gloves because, you know, gardeners, we like to get our fingers and nails dirty. And then we want to put the orchid in here like so. So I put a little bit too much in there. There we go. That's better. You want to stick the roots back into and you want it to have a little bit of, and you want to put it even to the soil. Then you slowly want to fill in all around the side. Now, I wanted to say, if for some reason somebody gave you an orchid and it's in bark, it does not mean that you're going to keep that orchid there for years and years to come, because that's not good either. So what you want to do is you want to, maybe during the summertime, because a lot of Phalaenopsis are not in bloom in the summer, not in Toronto anyway, and if they are, they're forced bloom because they need the cold air and a cool environment for them to bloom, or to signal them to bloom, because it means that it's winter there, and wherever, you know, Phalaenopsis would be. Now, this is pretty good. You want to make sure that the mixture goes all the way around. Now, so this little guy, I would say he's good for a year. Some people say, you know, every 6 months. I don't think it's that much of a deal if it stays here for till next year. Once it blooms, I might repot it. I might think, you know, can handle a little more. So that's pretty good. And now I can water it. Now, I don't want you coming in and dousing it with water, all right? This little pot fits perfectly into this pot. And what I'll do is I'll put water in here. I'll let it soak up for a few hours, and then I will dump the remainder in the sink. So there's our little orchid planted. She's perfect. This pot, this bigger pot on the outside is a bit big. What I ideally want is that. I don't want it there. That's too deep. So I gotta find myself another pot. I just, you know, that just happened to be lying around. And I had this one in there, so I thought it was okay. Now, just before I go, I wanted to show you something else. I gotta clean this mess up. Put that aside. Now, here's an orchid that is healthy. I planted this not too long ago, and you see that this got new roots there, and it's in wood. Here's a way to tell when the stem is ready to be clipped off, and I show you here. You see this? Clip it. Cut it right at the bottom. That one flying, but you could hear it. It was woody. And there's another one here that I've cut not too long ago. There you go. Now, another thing I wanted to show you, and this is why I brought this orchid, is, do you see how it looks wrinkled? You see it wrinkled? Okay. Now, that's the orchid telling you it needs water.